It's the CrownCast, the novice CrownCast. It's Chris Honorado. It's Garrett Bernardo. It's Dan Jason on the side of your screen here. But our guest this week, guys, is Dolly Cairns, Saratoga Springs star, went to Rhode Island, and now to Florida Gulf Coast. So what we know about Dolly, and maybe she doesn't even know this about herself, is my guess is she's going to own a beach house one day from URI, not far from the ocean, and then down to Florida, not far from the Atlantic either. Dolly, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Congrats on the success you've had here. As we talk to you now, you've had back-to-back really good games. Do you feel like you're like kind of now into the groove? First season, obviously, at FGCU and only a handful of games in, but have you felt like a difference in the last couple of games?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I think, I've only been here for 4 months, and just kind of the expectations that we have here, as a program as a whole, I think are very high. And, you kind of just have to be ready right from the start. But just, yeah, taking my opportunities when they're there, and just continuing to learn.
That's awesome. I know it definitely can be tough stepping into a new culture, new team. Was that something that you felt really comfortable with when you decided to transfer? Like, what was it about the coach, maybe, or even teammates that you had met early on that kind of gave you that comfort zone to make the jump?
Yeah, that was the biggest thing I was kind of not looking forward to, is how I was going to fit in. But honestly, it was the easiest thing ever. I mean, my teammates made it so easy. I live with two of the girls on my team. They're awesome. I love them. We do a lot of things together. There's so much to do down here.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, our coach has very high standards for us and kind of holds us to those expectations. And just kind of the way everybody carries themselves down here and in this program is just something that I've been able to easily adjust to.
That's
Real
awesome.
quick, DJ, before you jump in, man, here it is. Six straight NCAA tournament appearances. It would have been seven if not for COVID. But ever since Florida Gulf Coast became a full Division One member, they've dominated the Atlantic Sun League, and that was again 2011. And you've either this program, Dolly, has either won the conference regular season or tournament championship, and sometimes both every single year since that 2011 run. So you said, I mean, the winning culture is you're just expected to kind of fit in.
Yeah, I think another thing, especially during my visit down here, was that it's great that we have all these accolades, but we actually have to work hard for it. And our non-conference schedule really prepares us for that. And we have a lot of tough Power Five teams that we're playing. But yeah, I mean, we do put a lot of hard work, and it doesn't just come, easily.
Yeah, and to speak about that, I mean, you had a spectacular win against Kentucky, and you yourself, with 16 points and 6 assists, really leading the charge out there. It was huge to see that. I also saw you're playing like every second of the game. How is that adjustment, and like your stamina really is lending to you really going the distance and being that leader, as a senior member, even though you transferred. How's that whole thing developed?
Yeah, I mean, I really had no expectation coming in, like where, I didn't expect to play, you know, I didn't really have an expectations to play. And, just kind of listening to coach and just really just trusting his process and the way he runs things, obviously because he's very successful and us as a program are very successful, but just trusting him and just, you know, utilizing my opportunities when they're there, and just kind of really being useful when, that opportunity is there.
Yeah, but Dolly, doesn't everybody transfer now because they're promised minutes or a starting role or a number of shots or like is I mean, and I'm not going to bang on the transfer portal. It's just the way of life now. I think your team has like 10 or 11 players who had a previous stop before Florida Gulf Coast. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested here. You say like, hey, no expectations, nothing was promised to me. I kind of figured that if somebody was transferring, it was because I'm going to get more of X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. I would just say, I think just going back to the success of this program, I mean, I think a lot of people want to be a part of it. And then once they, kind of are, in it, I guess, don't realize how hard it is to kind of be good and how much hard work it takes. But yeah, I mean, it was going to be competitive. Obviously, like you said, we had 7, I think, transfers coming in. Nothing was promised, and it's just kind of, how hard are you going to push yourself, and then obviously gaining the trust from your coach, and that's something that I think has been a huge thing for me this year in my relationship with Coach Temesco, and how much confidence he has installed in me. I think has been the biggest thing that has helped me grow here so far.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of different comments going on with the transfer portal and how that affects teams and stuff. I'd imagine you probably have, a pretty good perspective of it. Like, what would you say, with that being an option? Because I know when I was a college athlete, or Dan even, like, it wasn't as easy to just jump ship and, find a new fit. Like, how, what's your take on it? And yeah, I think it's interesting to hear that.
Yeah, I think honestly, I never thought I would transfer, and I feel like I'm a loyal person. Like I wanted to stick with the program all 4 years, and no matter what the circumstances were, I wanted to do that, just because, just for like that loyalty kind of
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, with me graduating and just kind of looking for a fresh start, I think it was something that really kind of opened my eyes, obviously. And like I said, my transition was super easy. I probably had it very much more easier than anyone else has.
Right.
But yeah, and then as far as like, playing standpoint, we're still learning how to play with each other. And I really don't think that, we'll kind of get things rolling and really know how everyone plays off of each other until probably that halfway point when conference starts. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, just keep continuing to build those relationships and learning from each other. And like I said, these non-conference opponents that we have are just going to make us better in the long run.
Yeah, and how is the system, now being there down in Florida, different or similar to what you were playing when URI? Because obviously there could be a large adjustment. You go to a new team, have new teammates, but then you're learning a whole nother system. Or was that something that was taken into consideration of where you're looking to play next?
I would say the biggest difference is just, I mean, obviously our shooting. We're known for our threes. Our I don't know what it's called. Our slogan is "Raining Threes." But yeah,
and you're a part of that. I mean, I just got to stop for a second because you hit over 100 career 3-pointers, and that's a huge accomplishment. And I mean, you're also shooting over 86% from the line. Like, people need to realize, like, the high caliber of shooting that you're doing, that it can't be taken lightly. And yeah, I mean, it's fun basketball to watch for people.
Yeah, we're off to a rough start this season from 3, but I think that's kind of part of us learning how to play with each other and sharing the ball and getting, those open shots. But yeah, the biggest thing is everybody on the floor, 1 through 5, being able to shoot the ball and really spacing it out. So, if we draw defenders out to the 3-point line, that opens everything up down underneath for open layups. And it sounds simple, but it's a complicated system. You really have to put a lot of time into learning how he runs things. But yeah, that's his philosophy. So got to trust it.
Yeah. Guys, this is the system for me. I mean, my high school coach would tell you that I was 3-point line to 3-point line. I didn't get all that close to the basket. This is for me. 28, you guys attempt 28 threes a game, Dolly. I know you said the percentages are not where you want them to be yet, individually or as a team. But here's what I love about this is unique, and you'd have to really kind of look at things to find it. But I saw it earlier today. Is I'm wondering, like, okay, how is this player listed? What position? Where do they play on the floor? Every single player, if you look at the team roster, it just says shooter. It doesn't matter how tall, short they are, slow, fast, shooter. You're all listed as shooters, Dolly. That is awesome. I love that.
I saw that they posted our kind of like a printout of the roster page and everybody's position, hometown, and everything was shooter. And then my family members texting me saying, "This is the greatest thing ever." Like, yeah.
Yeah, on that wavelength, it's so just for people who are listening and tuning in, how many shots are you individually getting up each day? Because obviously that preparation to make them in the game, the practice and the work ethic has to be there. So like individually on, on a regular basis and as a team in practice, how many shots are you throwing up?
We have this thing called if you want to be great, 88. So you take 88 shots, and there's a whole binder of shooting drills that you can do to put together to get to those 88 shots. But the whole summer, I wasn't here for the summer, but the whole summer was spent on shooting drills only. The whole preseason, so the month of September was all shooting drills. We would shoot, I would say, probably 200 to 300 shot makes per day, not just shots.
Wow.
And then now we're getting busier with scout and having to go over coverages. So a lot of that's having to be done in our own time.
Wow. That's like, I mean, what was Kobe doing after practice? He was hundreds and hundreds hours. I mean, I'm a baseball guy, but I know like Albert Pujols would take like 1,000 swings off of a tee before a game.
Yeah.
But those are the things. Yeah. You got to do
that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Dolly, I looked it up. Campus at URI was only 7.5 miles from Narragansett Beach. Florida Gulf Coast campus is 18.5 miles from Fort Myers Beach. Have you spent any time at either?
I have not.
That's probably a guarded answer, right?
I have not been yet since I've been here, but I do have family down in Marco Island, so it's like an hour south. So I've gone down there and visited my grandma and went to the beach with her, but I haven't been to the Fort Myers Beach yet.
I've heard Sanibel Island is cool too. That wouldn't be far from you, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close.
Well, Chris, she's spending a lot of time shooting, right? And
indoors, I know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have this passion, right, as a basketball player. So take us through a little bit like your basketball journey, because obviously everybody knows you transferred, you're playing at the highest level when it comes to NCAA athletics. But where, for that younger person out there that maybe they want to take that next leap, how does that look? Like, how did that develop for you?
Yeah, I would just say learn as much as you can, and learn from everybody. Don't just stick with, the same person or the same coach kind of teaching you. I had a ton of different coaches, different trainers over the years. I got involved in like strength and speed and agility when I was in middle school. That has helped me grow as an athlete, not just a basketball player, but just as an overall athlete. But yeah, just continue to learn, continue to get in the gym, go get shots up when nobody's watching. And yeah, just keep shooting it.
That's awesome.
When did you know you were good?
I don't know. Maybe high school. I don't know. I don't like to talk about that side of myself, but I would say high school when I started first getting recruited.
Okay.
I kind of knew I would have a career in playing basketball.
Okay, I'll ask it this way then. When did people start to tell you were good and had the potential to be maybe even better than you thought?
I would say probably my freshman year of high school, maybe even 8th grade, just when I started playing varsity as an 8th grader. I think everybody kind of noticed that there was an 8th grader on the varsity team and kind of followed me from there, which is cool.
So when you're 12, 13, 14 years old and people are telling you things that even right now you don't want to hear me say, how have you maintained that humility to work when nobody's watching?
Yeah, I would just say just never being satisfied, and there's always room to grow. but yeah, just staying true to it and continuing to trust the process. I mean, there's always things you can be learning. There's always things you can be watching. There's basketball on all the time. So there's always something you can be learning from.
I mean, I refuse to believe, guys, that Dolly's freshman year was 8 years ago, and she was a member of the News Channel 13 All-Star team. But I will tell you, as somebody who's a lot better at identifying talent on a basketball court as opposed to executing talent on a basketball court, you just knew immediately. Like, and you know, not even specific to Dolly, like Division I players, DJ, you're a great basketball player yourself. Like, they move differently. They think ahead of everybody else. It's slower out there for them. They're more comfortable. You just tell Dolly as a freshman, a Shen trap was not facing her.
The rival. Yeah. No, that's definitely special. I mean, it's been exciting to just follow your journey. Even, I got to know you from really my wife, who was a Saratoga native, knowing Dolly from when she was working out in high school, and then following you into your collegiate career, URI, and now FGCU. It's just, I think it's a great story for people to hear, like, and especially for like a local talent. Here in upstate New York, you're playing down in Florida. And, sometimes some college kids or high school students can think that they need to stay local or they can't, stay in the safe zone. But you've definitely, just expanded that whole opportunity for yourself to like go where the opportunity is, kind of recognize the strengths of your game and get to a place where you felt like you'd have an opportunity to prove your talent. Like, so definitely kudos to you on that. And is there anything else that you would want to share with, young high schoolers out there that, we work with a lot of young basketball players aspiring to play at the collegiate level. Now with you being where you are, what would you say are just like the most important things that you've learned, all this time?
I just something that just came to mind. I would just say confidence and just kind of installing confidence in yourself and not letting anyone take that away from you. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of people that are negative with you. But I think just knowing that, you have confidence in yourself, that's the only thing that you really need to do anything. And, whatever life presents to you or whatever challenge you're facing, as long as you have confidence in yourself and trust yourself that you'll make the best decision or make the most out of it, I think that's as easy as it's going to be.
Awesome.
That's huge. I think that's tremendous advice. A lot of times young people, it's hard for them to have that confidence, but someone like yourself who works so hard, that's where it probably comes from. Would you say like putting the hours in the gym and just studying the game and working on your craft? Is that where you found your confidence? Was there like a time in your life where you're like, man, this is all, I'm putting it together. Maybe it's not always easy, but I know that the next game, the next shot, it's going to go in. I'm going to play better. How's that developed for yourself as an athlete?
Yeah, I would say it's a daily thing. I mean, you really have to continue to work on your confidence. Some people might just have it like that, but for me, it's been a big challenge for me, and just continuing to maintain that honesty with myself. And yeah, I mean, there'll be days, weeks where you will have it or you don't, but just continuing to install that in yourself and making sure that, you kind of carry that with you it's really important.
I love that. When was the last time you took a shot that you didn't think was going in?
Ooh. I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know.
Any half quarters maybe, or
well, maybe, but shooter, like, I mean, the way we always say, like, the only way to get out of a slump is to keep shooting, right? Like, I don't know that good shooters ever think the ball is leaving their hand and it isn't going in.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. You on the basketball court, keep shooting it and just kind of hope. I mean, you hope it goes in every time, but it's not going to. But
Yeah.
keep that confidence.
There's nothing like getting in a nice rhythm though, when you just I mean, I remember that from high school basketball, but when you get hot from the three, nothing better.
Yeah, it's like throwing it in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dolly, we've talked a lot about hoops here, but before we let you run, I do want to ask you about life after basketball. I know you're already thinking about that. And so much of what we talk about on this podcast is the change novice athletes are able to affect in a number of different ways. And that goes way beyond whatever sport they play. So in terms of what you're studying at FGCU, and then what you want to do post basketball.
Yeah, I think there's a career for me in the health field and working with people. I'd love to work with athletes if that opportunity presents itself. But I'm doing a master's in health administration. So if that, presents any opportunities after I complete that degree, I might look down that path. And then, yeah, I would love to continue to coach and help younger athletes like I do when I'm home in the summers. But yeah, I love the game of basketball. I love performance. I love healthcare. So just something in that area.
That's great.
Why is coaching fun and not frustrating? Maybe it is both.
Well, it is both. It is, but I think just the relationships. I mean, I have some of the kids' phone numbers, and if I can hang out with them off the court and just kind of talk to them about anything that they want to talk about. I think it's that piece, that relationship piece, that goes farther than basketball. That makes it fun to get to see kind of both sides of them. And then obviously on the court it gets a little frustrating, but it's all good stuff.
Yeah, Chris, I had the pleasure of seeing Dolly in action coaching some of the youth up in Saratoga in the summertime. And it's just a really great thing to see her, because we all know of her as this amazing basketball player and somebody who's a real competitor. But to see her coaching up the kids and like installing that confidence in them, it really made a lot of sense that, what she's saying now and how important that is. And she's somebody that is giving back. And when we think about like athletes in the hometown crown, that's what we're looking for, when we partner with great athletes like herself and giving back to the community, making that impact. So Dolly, there's no doubt that you'll continue to do that on the court and off the court in the healthcare, like wherever your life takes you, you're going to be really great at it.
Thank you.
All right, Dolly, I know the men's team was Dunk City. What did you say the slogan is for the women's program?
Raining threes.
Raining threes. And at Novice, we like to say, claim your crown. So keep shooting your shot and keep claiming your crown. Thanks for doing the CrownCast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Dolly.